Hey, it's Catherine from Moonstarlodge. I've been director here with my husband Brian for a very long time. I've been director myself for over 40 years, and Brian joined me almost 30 years ago. And we specialize in Indigenous spirituality, art, and education. And prior to that, I've been working with tarot, cartomancy, and forms of mediumship, having been a spiritualist minister, and I've transferred that license to Wolf Island, which is an Indigenous spirituality organization. The point for me is, having trained in science, the science of parapsychology and psychology, having worked in my own cultural community, and in terms of that shamanic spirituality, doing shamanic practitioner work for almost 40 years. I've got quite a comprehensive blended perspective on everything from mediumship and the spirit world, and you name it. I've delved into it and practiced, written, taught, and so on. And we're preparing a series of courses, again, because with the pandemic, we couldn't teach, and now we're going to take them online to expand to an extended audience. We will still do a few classes here for our local students who've been with us for a number of years. But for the summer, I'm going to mix it up a little bit and take a little bit of the pressure off. I wanted to do some teaching videos as well as laying cards and doing the readings of the week. So for starting here in July, this is the week of July 4th through to the 10th, I believe. And so instead of a card laying experience and a reading, I'm going to talk about some of the card decks and types, particularly focusing on the Thoth or Tote, as apparently it's said in Egypt, and compare a little bit where we're going with some of these classes that we're slowly making our way toward in the fall. So let's go to the cards. So you have before you here a plethora of different cards representing 4 basic types. I should say I've eliminated one of the types for convenience today, but I was going to include them in Giardi, but I'm talking today about the original Rider-Waite-Smith from 1909. I pulled this deck because it's got the 1909 on it. This is another version of that tarot, and that's all I could get on the table. And I wanted to compare it to the more ancient Marseille decks. Now, this is a Marseille deck by Dr. Yoav Ben Dov, who is deceased, unfortunately. One of the most erudite and special authors on Marseille. And I've got a large professional Marseille deck here. So we've got Rider-Waite-Smith, Marseille, and then this great hue and cry here of Crowley Tarot. So the images in this deck were made by Pamela Coleman Smith, as most everyone knows. The Crowley original Thoth or Tote tarots were made by Lady Frida Harris. The Marseille decks are very similarly identified, but they were used for a period of between 200 and 300 years. And so you will see a lot of similar depictions, but by very different artists whose ability to reproduce, it was more of a copying rather than a reproducing thing. So I wanted to look at one of the original versions. I'm just going to move the Marseille deck, and I'm going to move the Rider-Waite-Smith decks out of frame here, except for one. I'm going to bring these two decks together. So now all we have on the table are Thoth or Thoth derivative decks and one Rider-Waite-Smith, because it belongs in a set with this Thoth tarot, and we'll come to that. One of the originals is this greeny, what they call the greeny version of the Thoth deck, and it came out in the 70s, and it's considered a vintage deck. It has the original artwork of Frida Harris, and that's important. The original artwork of Frida Harris is important to the study of any Golden Dawn tarot. Golden Dawn is the same as the Thoth, or tries to be the same as the Thoth. But the images in the Crowley deck are the images that we are going to be looking at. So if I pull out the decks that do not have Frida Harris imagery, I'm pulling out this, I'm pulling out this. The Zillick Tarot, if you really don't like the Frida Harris images, the Zillick Tarot is one to grab onto just to have, plus it's a mini deck. This Hermetic Tarot does not have Frida Harris images. The Golden Dawn, this Golden Dawn, the Millennium Thoth does not. So we have this AGM Mueller that does have the Frida Harris images. We have this US Games version that has Frida Harris. And we have the original Crowley Tarot here. Let me get rid of these cards here. And these are Frida Harris. So why would we want to work, at least in the beginning, with these decks? Well, because they do contain the kind of imagery that Crowley refers to in his groundbreaking book, the Book of Thoth, which I have my copy that goes back to the 70s. I started tarot in 74, and this is the version of the Book of Thoth. You'll see it's printed in many different covers. But when you get into the text, you'll see it's literally photocopies of an old typewriter text. This particular copy does have color inserts in it, and it is not adulterated. The images that are associated with Frida Harris's work, it's very interesting to see them in the book and then see them in the cards as presented. So if you're going to study Thoth, you want to have the Frida Harris imagery and then diverge. So this one isn't easily available. You can go on eBay and get it. But if you've got little hands like me, these Frida Harris versions are very good. And this is AGM Mueller, and this is US Games. I recently came upon the Tabula Mundi Tarot, which is by M.M. Moline. And it has imagery in it. Now, this is a numbered deck. The cards look different than Frida Harris's cards. They're more inclusive and don't put people off. Harris's images don't put people off. They're not vulgar or anything. But a lot of people have issues with Crowley. If you can put Crowley aside, then, you know, these are the cards to start with. But this is a very treasured thing, and she's online. She's an independent artist. Another deck that Crowley actually learned from is the Book of Thoth by Atiyah. Atiyah was, I believe, in the 1700s. His name was actually Aliet. If you put his name backwards. He was so afraid of being condemned by the church. Let me get these cards out. So you will see some concepts within this book of Thoth that relate to Atea, and you can see some of the concepts in the card. They're not Marseille images. They're very unique to Aliette. But if you want to understand, though, it's Marseille-like in its presentation. But if you want to get to understand the roots of even the Crowley work, then this book of Thoth by Atea is an important historical deck. And that's only valuable if you are a student or a collector. Again, this is Lo Scarabeo or Lo Scarabeo, however you choose to say it. So it's a mass market deck. All right. One of the things that we will be doing in the fall is comparing the three, and in the meantime, if you want to look at a series of Benabel Wen videos that talk about the differences between Marseille, RSW, Thoth or Tote, and her books, the Spirit Keeper's Tarot, her books and decks, you can certainly go ahead and read that. Another find that I recently stumbled upon was the Complete Tarot Kit, and I'm just going to push this up here. The Complete Tarot Kit has everything that a beginner would want, and this is where these two little decks come from. This is a U.S. Games. Now, it's written by Susan Levitt, and it's an introduction to tarot, but it's a comparing and contrasting. She also has chakras. She has all kinds of things. What I like about this kit, if you want to understand, let's say you just understand Rider-Waite-Smith, and you want to understand how some of the cards are different. This particular kit contains a pop-out card that you can put together like this, and they tab together, and you can turn it backwards and tab it the other way, which gives you the Rider-Waite-Smith arcana, and it gives you the Thoth. So you have something that you can refer to. That comes in this kit. You have a fold-out play sheet, which gives you a Celtic cross. And this is an old style Celtic cross, a historical one. But what I love about this kit is it has in it a miniature Crowley and a miniature Pamela Coleman Smith deck. So this is the Crowley Thoth, and this is the Rider-Waite-Smith. So this kit is a dandy, and if you're wanting to begin to understand that, by all means, you know, this is a good deck or good kit to have. And these are Lady Frida Harris's images in here. So you have that. But I like these decks as well. This is my historic one, and I learned on this one. You can turn the camera, Brian. So this has been a very quick little reading for the week because it's a holiday week, and people don't want to be inside watching YouTube. They want to be outside enjoying the sun openly and more freely than we have the past 2 or 3 years. But, I'm always, as a teacher, gearing up for the fall, and so it's important to me to give students a foundation, and this is easy to learn, but you just need a little bit of support sometimes. So some of our classes are going to be very specifically on Marseille, and I will share with you that while I studied Rider-Waite-Smith in the beginning, I was very, very turned off of it as kind of a low-level thing based on my university studies. And I got into Thoth and was a little frightened of it. And so I kind of went down the middle with Marseille decks. Some students don't like pip decks because they haven't got the connected memory of what all the twos mean and all the threes mean, so that you don't need a picture. I find pictures limiting, except with the Thoth decks. So Marseille doesn't have pictures in the pips, and you have up to between 16 and 20 keywords for each card that gives you an opportunity if you're not biased by images. That's a kind of a maturation I've had nearly 50 years to evolve through. So when we discuss cards, we're going to be discussing these categories that I've touched on today: the good old Marseille, the Rider-Waite-Smith. I mean, I keep a Rider-Waite-Smith by my bedside, so, you know, I carry one up and down stairs every night. It's not that I don't like RSW. I've just got enough information about all the possible meanings of the cards without just the image that's on RSW, that I'm comfortable using that and connecting with spirit. But we're going to be doing Marseille, we're going to be focusing on Thoth, and we're going to be doing RSW, but also Minciotti. I love Minciotti cards. They include all the ancient gods and goddesses. And I understand from research that's been done that the Minciotti talks about the original 108 tarot cards and the cartouches that were in the base of either the Sphinx or one of the pyramids, that now the Egyptian government won't let people go back and get the other cartouches down. So the Minciotti tarot has 97 cards. And I'm working on trying to find out, in my scouring of crazy old texts, what the other cards can be in order to make the 108, because that's the deck I want to make. Anyway, Minciotti is a wonderful thing, because some of these decks have Kabbalistic or Kabbalah references, the astrological references. Thoth has it all: Kabbalah, astrology, and some of the same Golden Dawn references that Waite uses. There's a Rosicrucian tarot that I might pull into this. It's again a derivation of people who studied at the time of Mr. Waite and Mr. Crowley. So it's an interesting journey with lots of little bumps and hurdles and jumps and diversions. But I think you'll see by the end of the training period, when we're on our Ko-fi tiers, that you know, a good Marseille deck and a good Thoth deck will keep you going for years. If you're interested in learning online with Vincent Petici, he also works exclusively privately with Marseille, as does Jodorowsky, the famous director of Dune. There's a number of people who just work with Marseille. I work with them all, and the crazy ones, and the gummy worms, and the golden girls, and, you know, throw me a deck, I'll work with it. All right. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week. I hope.